I spent my life building not just a family, but a legacy. As Lillian Croft, founder of a successful organic skincare company, I believed in nurturing things: plants, relationships, my son. The corporate lawyers called my retirement succession planning. I called it passing the torch to my only child, Jason. My son didn't just take over my company. He used my own signature from a get-well card to forge documents that stripped me of my shares and trademark rights just weeks after my heart surgery. The betrayal began with such tenderness. "Mom, you need to focus on recovery," Jason said, sitting by my hospital bed. His wife, Chloe, nodded, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "We'll handle everything at the office." When I finally returned home, weak but determined, I found my access to company servers revoked. My personal assistant had been reassigned. Then came the letter from the board signed with what looked like my signature, thanking them for my years of service and formally stepping down from all executive roles. "Jason," I confronted him, my voice trembling with more than just physical weakness. "What is this?" He looked at me with what appeared to be genuine concern. "The doctors said stress could kill you, Mom. The quarterly reports, the investor calls, we're protecting you. The company is in good hands." His hands, I realized. Not ours. His. The discovery came from an unlikely ally, Ben Carter, my first employee, now retired but still loyal. He came to my home one evening, his face grim. "Lillian," he said, spreading documents across my kitchen table, the same table where I'd once mixed my first batches of lavender cream. "Jason's reformulating your original products. Cheaper ingredients, higher margins. But that's not the worst of it." He showed me the trademark filings. My name, Lillian's Garden, was being phased out. The new logo? Jason's Harvest. The documents of transfer bore a signature that looked exactly like mine, dated during my hospital recovery. "It's too perfect," Ben noted, his finger tracing the signature. "Your signature always had that little tremor after your surgery. This one's too clean." We realized Jason must have scanned my signature from a get-well card I'd signed for an employee and digitally replicated it. Our counterattack began in the shadows. While playing the frail, confused mother, I worked with Ben to quietly reach out to my original suppliers, the family farms that had provided my essential oils for decades. One by one, they agreed to halt shipments to Jason's reformulated line. Simultaneously, Ben helped me file a legal challenge to the trademark transfer, complete with the forensic document examiner's report on the forged signature. The supply chain disruption caused massive production delays. Negative reviews poured in about the inferior new products. The company's stock plummeted. Cornered, Jason struck back with the cruelest weapon imaginable. He arrived at my home with a file of fabricated medical records. "I'm so sorry it's come to this, Mom," he said, not sounding sorry at all. "But the board needs to see these. Early onset dementia. The doctors noted memory issues months ago. If you don't drop this challenge, I'll have to file for guardianship. For your own protection, of course." He threatened to have me declared incompetent, to lock me away in my own home while he stole everything I'd built. For a moment, the world swam. Then the fighter who'd built a business from her kitchen table reemerged. "Get out," I said, my voice steady for the first time in months. Ben and I went on the offensive. My cardiologist provided sworn statements about my mental clarity. More importantly, we discovered Jason had been funneling company funds into a separate, failing restaurant venture. The medical records came from a disgraced doctor who'd lost his license for writing fraudulent prescriptions. The final confrontation happened at what should have been my victory lap, the company's annual shareholder meeting. Jason stood at the podium, attempting to calm nervous investors. Then I walked in, backed by Ben and my legal team. "The only thing failing here," I announced to the stunned room, "is my son's integrity." We presented evidence of the forgeries, the embezzlement, the fraudulent medical records. I looked at Jason, my heart breaking even as I spoke. "You didn't just betray your mother. You betrayed every person who believed in our company's values." The board voted unanimously to reinstate me that afternoon. Jason was removed from all positions and now faces multiple lawsuits. They say a mother's love is unconditional. I've learned that respect must be earned. My company is recovering, but some breaks never fully heal. Still, I look at the new products we're developing, stronger, purer, more resilient, and see my own reflection. They thought a mother's heart was a weakness to exploit. They forgot that what nurtures can also survive. The gavel's echo in the courtroom had faded, but the silence in my own home was louder. I had won. The judge had restored my shares, my trademarks, my company. Jason faced a mountain of legal troubles. Yet, the victory felt like ashes. My son, my only child, the baby I'd rocked to sleep now looked at me with pure hatred. The board wanted a swift, clean return to normalcy. But normalcy was a country I'd been exiled from. My office, once filled with the scent of lavender and lemon balm, now smelled of disinfectant and regret. Jason's harvest, branding was being stripped from the walls, but the scars remained. Ben became my steadfast lieutenant, the bridge between the company I remembered and the corporation it had become. The staff is terrified, Lillian, he told me one morning in my newly restored office. They're loyal to you, but they saw what happened. They're worried you've become hardened. Perhaps I have, I replied, looking out at the garden where I'd first planted the rosemary that became our best-selling serum. But a broken bone that heals becomes stronger at the break. I didn't want to lead through fear. I wanted to rebuild with purpose. My first act was to gather every employee. I didn't give a speech from the podium. I stood among them in the manufacturing floor where the real magic happened. I was betrayed by my blood, I said, my voice clear in the hushed room. But I was saved by my family, and that includes all of you. We have been wounded, but we will heal. Together. I announced the restoration project. We would not just go back to the old formulas, we would improve upon them, using this crisis as a catalyst for innovation. I promoted from within, elevating the line workers who had secretly warned Ben about Jason's inferior ingredients. We established an ethics committee with real teeth, and I gave them veto power over any major decision. Meanwhile, Jason's life unraveled publicly. The embezzlement charges stuck. His marriage to Chloe, built on a foundation of greed, collapsed. She gave a tearful interview to a tabloid, painting herself as a manipulated victim, but the damage was done. He was facing prison time. It was a rainy Tuesday when he came to see me, a broken figure on my doorstep. He'd lost weight. The arrogant glint in his eye was gone, replaced by a hollow desperation. "Mom," he whispered, the word a ghost of its former self. "I have nothing left." I let him in. I made tea. We sat at the same kitchen table where it had all begun. "Why, Jason?" I asked, the question I'd held in for months finally escaping. Was it never enough? The love? The opportunity? He stared into his cup. "It was always your company, Mom. Your legacy. Your name on the door. I was just the heir. I wanted something of my own. The restaurant. It was failing. I thought I could save it, then pay everything back." The excuses were pathetic, but the pain behind them was real. He hadn't just wanted my money, he had wanted to escape my shadow. "I can't make the charges go away, Jason," I said, my heart a stone in my chest. "You broke the law. You broke us." "I know," he said, finally meeting my eyes. "I'm not asking for that. I'm sorry." The apology was a decade too late, but it was a start. I saw not the cunning betrayer, but the scared little boy who had failed and didn't know how to ask for help. After he left, I made a call. I couldn't drop the charges, justice was bigger than my maternal guilt, but I could ensure he had a good lawyer. I could ensure that when he faced the consequences, it would be with dignity, and with the hope of one day rebuilding a life, if not our relationship. The final step in my restoration was not about the company, but about my soul. I established the Second Growth Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to helping family businesses navigate succession and internal conflict. I told my story, raw and unvarnished, to other entrepreneurs. I spoke of the blindness of love, the seduction of entitlement, and the brutal cost of betrayal. At the launch event, a young woman approached me. "My brother is trying to push me out of our parents' restaurant," she confided, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "After hearing you speak, I'm not going to let him." I squeezed her hand. Your name is on the recipe too, I said. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. I stood at the window of my office later that night, looking down at the city lights. The Lillian's Garden sign glowed softly in the dark. It was my name, my legacy, but it was no longer my cage. I had fought for it, bled for it, and almost lost my son over it. The company was secure. It was thriving. But I had learned that a legacy isn't a fortress to be defended unto death. It's a garden. It requires constant tending, weeding, and, sometimes, the strength to prune back the branches you thought were strongest so the whole tree might live. Jason was my failed branch. The company was the resilient rootstock. And I, Lillian Croft, was finally the wise gardener, understanding that some winters are necessary for the spring to come.